And I hope you all enjoyed today's session on becoming a transformational leader. Without further delay, I'd like to introduce our featured presenter today. He is executive leadership coach and professional development consultant, Mr. Brian Ackles. Brian, you now have the floor.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Beautiful introduction as always. So, welcome. I want to talk about becoming a transformational leader, and this is a different way of looking at leadership, and it's a style which is becoming more and more prevalent in organizations. So we have a few objectives we're going to get through in the next 45 to 50 minutes or so. The idea of this is to give you some background and define some of the benefits of transformational leadership, look at some of the key differences between what we call transactional and transformational leadership, and also allow you to take the first steps on the path to becoming a transformational leader. So let's start with looking at a couple of definitions, and they're really complementary definitions. So what is transformational leadership? It's a style where you engage with others in such a way that people want to follow and raise each other to higher levels of motivation and morality. It's also a style of leadership in which a leader identifies the need for change, creates a vision to guide that change, and inspires and executes that change with the commitment of the members of the group or the team. So this is very much about engaging people and engaging and increasing motivation and increasing commitment within an organization. So let's look at the two basic different styles of leadership: transactional leadership and transformational leadership. So transactional leadership is the typical hierarchical form of leadership within an organization. You have a certain position, and that position grants you a level of legitimate authority in order to get work done, to define work. And the emphasis is on defining the goals, defining objectives for work, defining the tasks that have to be done, identifying the outcomes, what you want to have completed and when, and the organizational rewards and, I hesitate to use the words punishments, but the way that organizations treat you, if you will. Transform that or compare that to transformational leadership. Transformational leadership looks at building these higher levels of motivation and commitment. And we talk about followers, because if you define the word leadership, leadership means that you've got people following you. You're leading people. So the emphasis in transformational leadership is to generate a vision. It's generating a vision for the organization, for the group, for the team. And it's the leader's ability to appeal to his followers, to their ideals, and to their values. So it contrasts by saying, instead of me saying, here's the tasks that you have to do, it's, here's what we're trying to accomplish. How are we going to do that? How am I going to inspire you? How does this meet your ideals and values? So transactional leadership, task, results, process focused. Again, relies on that legitimate power. So the organization has granted you authority to do something. And typically, it's a very telling style of management. There may be discussion, there may be agreement about tasks that have to be done, but for all intents and purposes, as a transactional leader, you are defining the work that has to be done, and you are gaining agreement and commitment from people to do the work that you are telling them has to be done. And the focus really is on, what are we doing right now? What are we doing in the near future? And it's a very responsive style of leadership. I tell you what to do, or we discuss what you're going to do. You tell me you're going to do it. Is it done? What problems are you having? But it's all based on discrete transactions. Transformational leadership is about relations and communications. It's about personal power. It's not about organizational power. So it's about you as a person, as a transformational leader. How do you inspire? Where does your power come from? It comes from yourself. And it's demonstrated using an asking style. So you're asking questions of your team. How are we going to do this? How would you approach this? How are we going to accomplish what we have to accomplish? And you're truly looking and striving for input. And the focus is on the future. So the future of where do we want to be? We want to be somewhere in 6, 12, 18 months. How are we going to get there? How are we going to deliver this new program, this new widget, this new service to our customer base? How are we going to do that? It's a very proactive style of leadership. So some of the effects of doing this, when you're working in when you're working as a transformational leader, you're identifying change needed by the team or change needed by the organization. So teams need to be changed potentially. Teams need to reorganize themselves to get the best out of the individual team members' skills and abilities. The organizations need to change. Organizations are constantly needing to change, especially in today's workplace. You're trying to hit a moving target when in terms of technology, in terms of service offerings, in terms of the competitive landscape and environment. And a perfect example of that is looking what Amazon has just done by buying Whole Foods and slashing the prices of organic foods. So that's changing how an organization is responding and how other organizations are going to respond to that type of disruption in the industry. It's about creating, the effects it creates a vision, and that vision truly guides and transforms and inspires people. And inspiration is a huge part of transformational leadership. It inspires and challenges and engages people to drive this change forward. And it's also not just about one leader. It's about developing the people who are following into leaders themselves. So they are in turn leading their own work, and they're perhaps providing a leadership function within their team or within their group. Transformational leadership truly achieves higher levels of performance within a team. And if you think about it, you're engaging people, you're talking to people, you're getting them committed, and you're inspiring and you're motivated. So when performance is going to increase, it's going to improve. And it's based a lot on personal credibility. So your personal credibility is something that you give to yourself, and no one else can give it to you. But the flip side of that is, as well, if you don't live up to your own ideals and you don't live up to your own personal credibility, you can do yourself more damage than anybody else can do to you. So as a transformational leader, you truly believe in what you're doing. You truly walk the talk. You've all heard that expression. So it's about maintaining that credibility moving forward. So when we look at the challenges around leadership and the challenges around transformational leadership, there's been a lot of research into this around leadership behavior. And James Kouzes and Barry Posrier did a lot of work, and they documented what they feel are the 5 core practices that support exemplary leadership. And we'll walk through these fairly quickly. So there's modeling the way, inspiring a shared vision, challenging the process, enabling others to act, and encouraging the heart. So let's talk about modeling the way. What are we trying to do? Transformational leaders demonstrate their values, demonstrate their actions, and through their actions and behaviors. So they believe what they do, they say what they want to do, they create a vision, they demonstrate that in their actions every single day. You don't get contradictions in a transformational leader. If they say something, they do that. They don't say something and do something different. So gone is the expression, do as I say, not as I do. Do as I do is the watchword. They share principles, and that principles guide the team. It's about personal example, and it's about commitment to the values and commitments to the standards which they've developed with the team, the standards for their work. And this builds goodwill, and it builds momentum within the team. So it's about building that model, and it's about living that model, and demonstrating it in their actions each and every day. And they're inspiring, they're building this shared vision. They passionately believe that what they're doing makes a difference. They know, they can see the future. And the future is something which they're striving to get to. They're creating an image of what they want their organization or what their team can become. So they have magnetism, but they use quiet persuasion. Okay, and that's an important point. It's quiet persuasion. It's not out there, it's not completely in your face. They get others enlisted in their dreams. And it's about getting people to see the possibilities. It's about inspiring their visions. They breathe life into their visions. They get people excited about what they want to achieve in the future. Inspiring that shared vision. Challenging the process. We've all seen it. We've all experienced it. Processes within organizations, some of them work. Some of them work less good, we can call it that way. Some of them need to be scrapped completely. Transformational leaders will challenge those processes. They're looking for ways of doing things better, not just change for change's sake, but change to better support their customers, better support their team, better support the organization moving forward, better support the community in which they live, become more sustainable organizations. And they're willing to take risks, to try out different ways of doing things. And, you know, transformational leaders, we know that risk-taking can lead to, I'll say disappointments, that might be the wrong word, can lead to problems, can lead to challenges, but if they're all learning experiences. It's not a failure, it's a learning experience. And that idea of learning experiences instead of problems or failures is what drives transformational leadership. And it's about supporting others to do the same. So if one of your team members takes a risk, right, they do something, they're educated, they know what they're doing, they decide that they're going to go down a particular path, and it doesn't work the way that they had hoped to. The transformational leader does not punish that person for doing that. They work with that person to identify what have we learned from this and what value can we take from this to apply moving forward. And that's the difference between transactional and transformational leadership. It's not about punishment, it's about learning. And it's about enabling people. It's about enabling them to act. So working with your teams to create that strong team spirit, a very collaborative environment, building buy-in, involving the people to build the buy-in, and building those respectful relationships within the team. They build the ability of trust and respect and integrity. Imagine working with a team of people whom you trust to do the right thing, who have, you know they've got your back. And you know that if you're having a problem or something else in your life is affecting how you work, that they're going to step in and they're going to help you out. And there's not going to be questions asked, and there's not a quid pro quo type of environment here. They're going to do it because you're part of the team, and we all live together, and we're all going to succeed together. Now, that also means that as part of that team, you have to step up and do your part, and you have to be the best that you can be. They empower, transformational leaders empower people by building that responsibility, building capability within the team, and building self-confidence. I apologize if you can hear a bit of noise in the background. I'm in the middle of a rather nasty weather storm here, so you might hear a bit of rain coming down on me through the microphone. What else do transformational leaders do? They encourage the heart. And what does encouraging the heart mean? They recognize and reinforce what individuals contribute to the team. It's about celebrating achievements. It's about celebrating the accomplishments of people on the team and of the team itself, and making sure that everybody is rewarded for their efforts. Now, this does not mean that you get an award for showing up, right? You're part of a team that is contributing, and where the sum, where the individual parts create a much greater whole, if you will, when they work together. So you do have to work, you do have to become part of that team. Transformational leaders keep morale and motivation up, that they provide the heart to the team. Everybody feels like a hero. Now, if you look at a team within an organization is not just, let's take an example of a development team. So you've got developers, you've got architects, you've got designers, you've got testers, etc. But you also have other people on the team as well. And other people on the team are, the people at the reception desk that are greeting you, the security people in the building, the people that are receiving and managing the IT environment that is enabling you to do your work. All of these people contribute to the team, and a transformational leader will make sure that everybody who's contributing to the success of the team understands that their role is important and understands that their role makes them a hero to the team, because without them, something would be a challenge, something would potentially fail. So this is encouraging the heart, not just within the immediate team, but encouraging the heart within the greater team as well. So given that, let's talk a little bit about engagement. Before we get into that though, Kelly, I'll ask you to go ahead and run this first poll on engagement, if you will.
All right, Brian, we're at about 66% feel highly engaged, about 19% feel they're neither engaged nor disengaged, and then about 17% feel somewhat disengaged.
Wow. Well, those are really interesting numbers. And I gotta tell you that those numbers are much better than what we find when we look at general research about engagement. I'm extraordinarily pleased to hear that 66% of the people on this poll feel highly engaged in their role, because most studies show that only 25 to 30% of people are actually fully engaged. So you should all consider yourselves in a very unique group. Typically, about 25-26% of people feel somewhat engaged, but normally about half of the organization are only partially or not engaged in their work. Now, again, think about that in terms of engagement. And if you think about that in terms of how transactional leadership works compared to transformational leadership. Transactional leadership, you're being told what to do. Right? You're expected to do something. You've got a role to fill. It's very, very focused on the now. Transformational leadership, you're part of the solution. You're part of the discussion. You're part of defining what has to be done. You're working towards the future. So it sounds like a lot of you are already in a form of transaction or transformational leadership, or within that, certainly moving towards that style. So what drives employee engagement? So there's the relationship with the person that you work for. And that's really key. Because, well, one of the things about employees and about their immediate boss, and I'll digress a little bit here. When somebody leaves an organization, if they quit their job, studies are showing that people do not quit the company. They quit the person they work for. They can't deal with that working for that person anymore. They don't work for the organization, they work for their manager, for their supervisor. So that relationship is extraordinarily important. Second key driver of this is the belief in senior leadership. Do you believe that senior leadership, first of all, cares about you, has a good handle on what the organization is doing, has a good handle on driving the organization towards a future to which you truly believe in, and that you can support, that your values and your ideals support? And the third key driver is pride. pride in working for the company. Are you proud of where you work? Are you proud of telling people, I work for whoever, and I'm really happy there? I think that we are doing wonderful things. We're doing great things for our customers. We're advancing technology. We're advancing whatever it is that we do. We're advancing medical technology. We're advancing services. We're making our customers better. We're helping our community, right? It's that pride of working for the organization. Other factors are about how employees are treated. Are you treated with respect? Is it shown in the attitudes of management, both your immediate managers and senior leaders, that you are truly an important part, a key part of the organization? I mean, without people doing the work, there is no work being done, right? And without great leaders in the organization, there is no work being done in a way that supports the organization. Personal values. So, and again, we come back to this idea of personal values. Personal values are reflected in the organization, and the organization cares. They care about how you feel. And it's not just, totting out the regular, annual employee survey saying, how do you feel, asking the same questions every year, and, getting the results back and doing something, putting something out. But they're actually looking at, on a regular basis, daily, weekly, monthly, they're looking at how you're feeling about the work, and they're acting on it. So it's not just an annual once-off. It's not an annual performance review. It's an ongoing dialogue and an ongoing engagement with your manager, with your leaders, and with the leadership team. So, I mean, the benefits of employee engagement, we've heard all of this before. Bottom line, there's two great benefits to an organization: improved productivity and increased profitability. Now, increased profitability comes as, it's a natural offshoot of people feeling better and being more engaged in their work. If you're doing better work, if your productivity is up, that means that you're spending less time fixing things, more times getting things right in the first place, right? It means you're focusing on your customers. It means you're delivering value. You're delivering the products and services in such a way that they are valid and valuable to your customer base. Right? It means that you're committing to the community, you're committing to the organization. So all of this increases profits. It can't help but increase the profitability of an organization. And profitability not just measured in dollars, but profitability measured in longevity of the organization and their ability to stay in business and grow in that business as well. So transformational leaders and engagement, it's about building these relationships, building strong person-centered teams, building an engaging environment. And it's that environment is crucial, where people can feel that they're enabled to work at the level to which that they're striving for. They're rewarded with responsibility. They're recognized for the job that they're doing. Transformational leaders and managers create what is called the involved employee. And that's the person that doesn't just come to work because they're supposed to be there between 9 to 5. They come to work because they're committed and they're involved in the decision-making of the organization, and they're involved in making things work better. And at building that and turning that sense of involvement into enthusiasm is easy. If they're involved in it, they're enthusiastic. Pride of ownership. And this creates the higher levels of engagement with employees. 66% of you are feeling that way, and that's fantastic. So we've got this measure of engagement. We've got groups of people who are being led by transformational leaders. How do these people motivate? How do leaders motivate? And it's described as inspirational motivation. So there's a number of different ways to motivate. You give more money, you can work, etc. But the success of transformational leaders and motivation is creating that optimistic and compelling view of the future. In 12 months, we want this organization to be viewed worldwide as the #1 driver in this field. I'm trying to be fairly general about this. That might be an inspirational goal. Right? It's not about, right, in the next quarter, we need to increase our customer satisfaction numbers by 12%. That's a transactional piece. That's not a transformational piece. Again, we come back to vision. And the vision, the use of vision to motivate. And that use, the vision provides something for people to wrap their work around, something for them to engage in, something for them to strive for. And you use vision to say, here's the vision, here's what we're trying to achieve. Is what I'm doing related to achieving that vision, or is what I'm doing related to something else? And if it's something else, then you need to enter into that discussion and dialogue with your leader, with your manager, to say, how is this creating and helping us achieve the vision that we're working towards? It may be that the vision has to change. It may be that you're the first person to see this. Right? And again, within a transformational team, if you're motivated and you're engaged, right, you feel confident and comfortable to bring this up and have that discussion. Your purpose, the purpose and meaning within the team that has been built by a transformational leader is building that energy, is building that energy for people to tap into. And that energy is a powerful force. But again, the energy is built by the team, and it's built with the leader, not by the leader. So Kelly, if you go ahead and run the second poll for me, please, about motivation, and we'll see where people are sitting.
All right, we still have people voting, so I'm going to give it just another
Sure.
few seconds here. All right, so we're at about 61% challenging work, 29% for working with a talented team of people, and then 11% for getting a significant raise.
Cool. Interesting numbers. So I think one of the things that this speaks to is that everybody is motivated in a different way. When the first, again, for the 60-odd% of you that are motivated by challenging work, even within that, challenging work will mean something different to each of you. And it's really important that your management and your leadership, and that you're working with them to understand what challenge means to you and what that type of work is. Working with a talented team of people, is that, what type of people are they? What happens if you're working with a team of people that they're all superstars? Is that how you want to work, or do you want to work with people who are, that run the spectrum of talent, the people they're good, solid contributors, and then you've got the sort of bright spark gurus that sit in the corner that can help everybody with everything, and then you've got that range that goes in the middle. What does that talented team of people look like to you, and how does that match what your expectations are and also what the expectations of the organization? Getting a significant raise. I mean, this is important to a lot of people, particularly, and when we're looking at housing prices, you look at the cost of living as increasing. And again, in it, getting a raise, it's not the money in and of itself, but it's a recognition of what you're doing adds significant value. And you're looking at that value and saying, okay, well, I need to be financially rewarded for that because I'm providing value to the organization. So, having more money would be a nice way for the organization to say, yeah, we recognize that. We're making great money because of the services that you and your team are providing. So, we're going to recognize that by helping you out with a bit more money. I live in a city in Canada where, I live in the most expensive city in Canada. I'll leave you to figure out where that is. But average house prices here are numbers which are unfathomable. So it's one of the challenges that I face in my organizational career, is trying to find people that we can pay enough that can actually live in the city or live within a reasonable commuting distance. So all of this comes up to motivation. We're all different in this. So we've talked about this. The biggest thing is can you articulate what motivates you so that you can have a clear conversation with your management team, with your leadership team, to say, when I do these types of things, this is what motivates me. Or when the organization responds in this way, or when I get the opportunity to work with customers, or when I do this, or what are the factors that provide you and put you in an environment where you truly feel that you're contributing and that you can be the best that you can be, and that you're working within a team of people that inspires you and motivates you. And again, this is transformational leadership. Transformational leadership is trying to build that environment by getting to know you as a person, and getting to know the motivation factors. But it's incumbent on you to be able to articulate that. So we build motivation strategies, right? Strategies to build, engage, and motivate teams to high performance. And again, we come back to vision, we come back to building that direction for the future, but also linking the work that's being done to what the vision is. Creating a communication strategy on making sure others within the organization understand the vision, how that vision is actually going to be articulated, how it's going to be kept alive. Not just within your team, but that vision becomes part of what you're trying to give to your greater organization, just give to your customers. The power of vision, and as a word, it's been around in management for a long time. It's been around in leadership for a long time. But vision is powerful if it's used and if it's kept alive. If it's something which is created once, put on a shelf, or put on a post-it note, or put on a screensaver, that's not vision. That's just a trite statement. Vision is something which you live, which you know, which you believe in, and which you talk about. Vision is something which is talked about all the time. And this is an important piece of transformational leadership. So again, motivational strategy, it addresses the team and individual and individual motivations. It addresses the needs and aspirations of the individual, but also of the team. And again, you're working as part of a team of people. If you're working by yourself, it's very hard to be, it's a lot more difficult, I'll say, to motivate yourself or to be motivated by the organization. Most people gain some level of motivation by working with others and contributing to that greater good, if you will. So we talk about motivation, and now we need to talk about optimizing performance. So again, transformational leadership. You're creating a context. You're creating an environment for high performance. You're coaching your teams. You're coaching them to reinforce work habits, to reinforce how they're doing things. You're also coaching them to redirect and gently adjust course, if you will, to keep people on the track that you need them to be on. You're also coaching to create, or you're optimizing performance by creating some measures. How do we know that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing? How do we know that we're achieving things? You have to have some measures in place to say, yeah, we're on the right track. Or no, we need to be doing something a little bit differently because we're not actually accomplishing what our vision is setting us out to accomplish. So we need to make some course adjustments here. We also need to look at unlocking people's potential and developing their talent. And this is a huge thing. It's not just about going into work, being motivated, being inspired by your leadership, but it's also, having that ability to learn, having the ability to be able to do a better job, to learn how to do a better job, to learn new technologies, new ways of working, new things of doing, developing your talent, and developing eventually into leaders yourself. So we look at coaching as part of this. And coaching is a partnership. And it's a partnership in a thought-provoking, creative process that inspires people to maximize their personal and professional potential. Their personal and professional potential. So coaching isn't, telling people what to do. If any of you have ever been played in a sports team with a good coach, the coach doesn't tell you how to do something. Right? The coach provides an environment, builds capability through maybe some skills training, builds capability through teamwork, builds capability by saying, this is how we need to do something. Here's some different ways. What do you think? It's a creative process. Coaching in business is not about, when I'm coaching people, I'm not saying, well, you should be doing this. We're talking about how people want to do something, what their potential is, what they want to achieve. Performance in any organization is about partnerships. You do not perform in an organization on your own. You perform as part of a team. You perform in partnership with the management, with your leaders. And you achieve your outcomes by applying what you do to the work that you're doing, your unique talents, your unique strengths. And this is the same for leadership as it is for staff. So even as a transformational leader, you're accomplishing things because you have the talents of a transformational leader. Like, you have the strength to build the team. You have the strength to motivate the team. So you have the strength to build those creative environments and those successful environments where people can achieve success, grow, and gain their own confidence. And in turn, you are also gaining confidence as a transformational leader. You're not only transforming the team, you're transforming yourself. You're transforming the way that you lead and manage people. Transformational leaders respect the individual. They respect the contribution that each person makes to the team. And again, it's about unlocking this potential, and it's unlocking motivation and aspirations. And to unlock that, it might be through discussion, through challenging work, through outside courses, through looking at development paths, career planning, and career opportunities. Where does that person want to be in the next period of time? What do they want to do? Do they want to continue working in a development environment? Do they strive for leadership? Do they strive for a leadership role? Do they want to progress through the organization that way? Do they want to work in more specialized areas? Right. And it's about unlocking that intrinsic motivation and unlocking those aspirations. So this idea of performance development is not just about the thing that they're doing within their role, but it's about that next step on their journey. Where do they want to go? What is their career? More and more you hear ads for organizations, and I don't have a job, I have a career. Companies like McDonald's, they have huge hiring fairs in October in Canada, and they don't talk about hiring for a job. They talk about joining McDonald's for a career. Okay, maybe not the best example in the world, but there are people that make a career out of working at McDonald's through their leadership and management program. Okay, so it's about, what is that journey going to be? The transformational leader has a very positive attitude towards career development, and it's about providing that the levels of engagement and motivation, and also helping people reach out to others within the organization, building those relationships and building the goodwill that they're going to need to move through their career. Right? This is what leaders do. So you're also helping your team members who don't understand or are not quite there yet in terms of understanding what career progression means, helping them clarify what they do, clarify and articulate their strengths. Typically, people are not very good at saying what they're good at, what their talents are, and particularly what their career aspirations are. somebody coming into an organization relatively new, recent graduate, or with only a few years of experience, their career aspirations, yeah, I want to be president and CEO of the organization in 3 years. Well, probably not a realistic career aspiration unless they're going to start their own company, which is certainly an alternative for many people out there. We've seen a lot of great startups. But within an organization, it's understanding that career aspiration and helping them build that path, and helping them understand what those options are, both for the present and the future, both within the organization and within the greater industry that they're working in. So it's about transforming careers. Again, we're back to this transformational leadership. And we talk about mentoring. A huge part of transformational leadership is taking the time to mentor your team and mentor other leaders. And you need to be seen, again, as a credible mentor. Right? It goes back to your personal credibility. We talked about that right back at the beginning. So we're inspiring leaders to grow. Right? Transformational leaders are energetic, enthusiastic, passionate about what they do. They're trying to inspire others to that same level. Right? They're focused on helping every person in the team succeed amazingly. And this is building sustainable leadership at all levels. If you've got a team of people that can lead themselves and lead within the team, right, then you're able to focus more on creating and driving that vision for the future for the team. So leadership mentoring is this mutually beneficial learning partnership. And again, it's a development process. There are a lot of formal or informal mentorship programs in organizations, but the thing is, you're working with people. You as a mentor are working with people either within your team or even for mentoring people in other teams to help them grow, to help them be all that they can be. So I'll finish this off by just talking about how mentors develop leaders and how transformational leaders develop leaders. It's about relationships. It's about focusing on character, strength, optimism, passion, and success. All of these things help develop people into leaders, right? If you think about this, again, transformational leaders. We're building a vision for the future. We're inspiring. We're getting people enthused. We're engaging people to move towards that future. And the only way you can do that is to work with people, have great relationships with people, understand and focus on the characteristics and the strengths. And you're not skeptical about things. There's no failures. There's learning opportunities, right? It's optimism, right? It's not being needlessly optimistic, but it's being optimistic about what can be achieved. And again, passion for what you're doing, and passion for being successful, not just for yourself. Most importantly, not just for yourself. Most importantly, passion for the success of your team. So transformational leaders inspire others to greatness, and they lead by example. And it takes time and work and support to be a transformational leader. So if you're moving towards this, find someone to help you. Find a mentor within your organization, someone who you view as a transformational leader. Talk to them. Ask them if they can mentor you. And if they are a transformational leader, they will jump at the opportunity to help mentor you and move you forward into this. So this is where we'll end. I will say thank you for listening to me rant on for the last 45 minutes or so. And Kelly, if we have any questions, I'll be happy to talk some more.
Yes, thank you so much, Brian. And as Brian mentioned, if you guys have questions, feel free to type those in the chat now. We will address them shortly. But first, wanted to let you guys know if you're interested in any of the material presented in this webinar or have any questions regarding our available course offerings, please visit our website at newhorizons.com. you can click on the Center for Leadership Development tab, and it will give you a full list of the upcoming sessions that we have. I'm sorry, classes that we have. In addition to that, we do offer other webinars as well that are complimentary to you. So if you click on the webinars tab on our website, newhorizons.com, there you will see an upcoming schedule. You can also view past webinar recordings, and those are all complimentary to you as well. So take a look at our website for more information. You can also find your nearest New Horizons location by typing in your zip code, and then just clicking the search button, and then your nearest New Horizons will pop up along with their contact information. So if you aren't familiar with who your local account rep is or any information on that, you can do that as well. Okay, let's get to those questions real quick. Brian, we had a good question come through. This one says, one of the more interesting challenges in being a transformational leader to the various generations we manage, so inspiring or motivating a baby boomer versus a Gen X to the current millennials is very difficult to balance across larger organizations. Do you have any thoughts on this?
That's actually a really, really important point particularly within the environment. We're dealing, almost with 5 generations of people in the workforce now. So, getting to know the individual and getting to know what motivates and what inspires each person, I think really is the key to this. The person that asked me the question is absolutely right. What motivates a baby boomer, what motivates a millennial, can be quite different, particularly because they're in different stages of their careers, and different ways of viewing technology, different ways of viewing the world, for that matter. So it's important to get to know the individual people, get to know, what motivates them and what drives them as an individual, but also working with them so that they have an understanding that, what drives them also has to fit in with what drives the team. And it's engaging that passion that they have and the motivation that they need into linking with that vision to the future that the team has created together.
All right. Another question we had is, let me see here. What if the skills and strengths and career development path best suited to an employee doesn't align with the company's direction, projects, and goals? What thoughts do you have on the leader helping this staff member in a positive way?
If a person doesn't match with what the organization is trying to accomplish, I mean, this is something which has to be discussed, frankly, honestly, and in a very caring and compassionate way. It's not that the person is necessarily a bad performer or etc., but their goals don't align with the organization. And if that is truly the case, then there's a couple of things that can be done. You can either work within their industry associations. Is there a better fit within another organization, or even within the same organization? If it's a larger multinational, is there a better fit for their career aspirations in another area within the organization? But the thing is, the bottom line is sometimes the hard choices must be made as well. As a transformational leader, you have a responsibility for the organization, your responsibility for the team, and if one person is disrupting the team and will not fit within that organization and fit within the team and doesn't support what they're doing, then that person needs to be moved on in the best way possible, both for the organization and for that person.
All right. Some other questions that came through, you guys were asking for a copy of the slide deck. I will be sending you all a link to view the session recording later today. So if you also want a copy of the presentation, just reply back to that email and I will get you a copy of that. Unfortunately, when I send the initial email, I can't just send an attachment. So yeah, feel free to reply back to me on that, and then I will get you guys a copy of the presentation as well. It appears that is it for questions. So thank you again, Brian, so much for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure.
All right, we look forward to the next one. And thank you all for attending. I hope you'll join us on future webinars, and check out newhorizons.com for all of our available course offerings as well. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Yep, thanks, Kelly. Bye.